What's up, everybody? Greetings to everybody in the virtual world and hello, Facebook friends. I am one of the co-hosts, Aisha, also known as Jade, and the other co-host is...
Other co-host is Uno. The other co-host for Chit Chat Chew Show podcast.
So I'm real relaxed right now, and this is going to be another great discussion. And if you join us live, you have some feedback. We always encourage you to leave comments. And there's not really a right or wrong per se, but we just want you. Again, there could be a right or wrong. Let me just say, if you're interested, you want to leave some comments, please do so. And we welcome you to another great show tonight on July 2nd. So our show typically starts or airs from 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time and Pacific Standard Time from 4 to 6. Make sure to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Like it, support it, share it, make it go viral. So our topics will include the Flint water crisis, which is still going on.
Still ongoing.
We have the Puerto Rican, how can I say?
It was the May Day protest.
The May Day protest.
But the law enforcement actually waged war with the Puerto Ricans, the native people of that country. So it's a big mess over there. It's pretty much like martial law. So it was the law enforcement against the Puerto Rican citizens, basically due to not just a financial crisis, but a humanitarian crisis, and especially politically standing for as Trump and placing in policies, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a lot going on around the world. So we want to update you on what's going on, not just here in America, but also outside of America.
We have another issue from my second hometown, which is Philly, and it has to do with a woman who was declared dead and pretty much like she was trying to get all that rectified to prove that she wasn't, and they really didn't even believe her.
Sold her home or something?
Sold her home and things like that.
Yeah,
so that's going to be an interesting topic. And what's our last one?
And reporting from my hometown, Atlanta, Georgia, there's a topic right now that's been out in the headlines recently about a body that was found in a beer freezer at SunTrust Park out there in Cobb County. So we want to talk about that on the show tonight.
So let's jump right into it because we have four great topics to discuss and read and all of that good stuff. And again, if you join us live, you have some feedback. Make sure that you leave it in our live comments. And as far as my Aisha Speaks motivational Facebook page, if I don't hit you guys up tonight with a video, I most definitely will tomorrow. It's just extremely busy, and you know how it is when when you are working and or running a full-time business as well. It can become very busy. And so, yeah, you know how I do. I definitely always try to make sure that I keep up on it, even if I don't air it that same day. Believe me, you're going to get feedback. You're going to be caught up. So just be patient with me. So we're going to start off with the ongoing Flint water crisis. Headline: Doctor Who exposed Flint water crisis opens up about trust and trauma. It's been almost 3 years since Dr. Mona Hannah Atisha was tipped by a friend at a barbecue of all places that the city of Flint, Michigan, drinking water could be tainted by lead. For Dr. Mona, a pediatrician at Flint Hurley's Medical Center, the months that followed were nonstop search for the missing piece of evidence that would finally stir the government into action. Proof that Flint's children had been poisoned by lead in the city's water supply. Dr. Mona's new book, What the Eyes Don't See, chronicles her unrelenting efforts and those of the many water experts, journalists, and activists she worked with to expose the true extent of the damage done by lead in Flint water supply, the aftermath of water she uncovered in her own personal story. Since publicly announcing that Flint's children had dangerously high levels of lead in their blood, in September of 2015, Dr. Mona has become an unwavering voice for Flint's children and an ambassador by Flint's resiliency in wake of the water crisis, which isn't really over. Earther spoke with Dr. Mona about her book, Where Flint Is Now, and how the trauma that unfolded in Flint can influence children for their entire lives. So, a question that was written, I'm trying to get it, make sure that it's geared towards. Okay, so the person who's interviewing Dr. Mona, she goes by Eartha, and she said, "How did the water crisis change how you approach your work, especially given the way the government attempted to discredit you?" And her answer is, Dr. Mona, "I think the crisis being discredited, having the science dismissed, really only inspired me to keep fighting more. I've always, as a pediatrician, had the deep obligation. I literally took an oath to protect children. This is very much my professional duty, but also an ethical and moral obligation to these children. When our science, when our numbers, when our facts were being denied and dismissed, that only caused me to reground myself in that role as a pediatrician, in that role as a protector of children. It caused me to be even more stubborn, to be even more loud, to be even more of an advocate for these children." The other question that was asked to Dr. Mona is, "The last burst of national news on Flint happened when the state stopped dueling, dueling our bottled water. What's the status today in terms of people's access to drinkable water? What more needs to happen for it to be drinkable?" Dr. Mona, her answer or her thoughts are, "The state cut the bottled water supply, and right now people are getting bottled water through churches and nonprofits like the United Way. There's still a supply of filters, and there's still a home visiting program that helps folks install and maintain their filters. We're still under a public health emergency. The recommendation is that people do continue to use filters or bottled water. A properly installed and maintained filter clears the lead. But there's a lot of folks who don't trust what's coming out of their faucet, even when it's filtered. The bottled water was really kind of a bridge for safety, for access, for trust, and for affordability. It's a lot of work that needs to happen to rebuild that trust. People need to remain on bottled and filtered water, but we're already a third of the way through the pipe replacement. Once that happens, it's only going to be the third city in the country that's replaced their lead pipes, which is really amazing." The question to Dr. Mona, and this will be my last, everything will be posted so you can read the whole full article. From the book that Dr. Mona wrote, you talk about how the trauma in Flint is a toxic stress. How do these toxic stresses manifest in the longer term? Dr. Mona says, "I think the most important concept in pediatrics and public health right now is the recognition of the role of early adversity and toxic stress on children's development. adverse childhood experiences and toxic stress, the more of those that you have without buffering mechanisms impact kids in a very predictable and graded fashion. The more that you are exposed to, say, violence or incarcerated parents or poverty or lack of nutrition or any one of these toxic stresses, the more likely that you're going to grow up with the risk factors, chronic diseases, and eventually decrease life expectancy. When we're able to frame this water crisis as an added toxic stress, it really gives us a way forward. There is no cure for lead or a cure for the trauma of the crisis, but this was a toxicity on top of so many toxicities that our kids already had, from poverty, violence, lack of nutrition, crumbling schools, and discrimination. When we frame it that way, we were able to holistically build a model of recovery that leans on the incredible and emerging science of child development and resilience to buffer the impact of this exposure. And that is absolutely one of the reasons why she wrote her book, to share how we are using science. We are leaning on that science of brain development and resilience to mitigate the crisis and hoping to serve as a model for other communities. The lessons that we learned in Flint are applicable and translatable to kids everywhere who are growing up with very similar toxicities. So she's asked other questions. Again, um, you can read much further because I want to give respect to Uno reading as well.
Oh no, you
but
good.
No, but it's
No.
so.
I just wanted to hear what you were saying. I'm just listening.
It's so. Well, with that being said, let me just read this short. Flint's crisis is a classic example of an environmental injustice. Flint is a story where folks go out of their silos and work together to open their eyes and also to find that power within themselves to make a difference. That is one of the biggest lessons that I want to share, that role of activism, of resistance with a village. I thought pediatricians had a monopoly on caring for children. I didn't understand that anybody else could care as much about kids. But hey, actually, no. An environmental scientist and a journalist and moms and pastors and activists and the EPA whistleblower. This person and that person, all these folks cared about kids. So often in our professions and our work, we tend to surround ourselves by people who are just like us. We don't work with folks in other disciplines or people who don't look like us or don't vote like us. I think one of the important lessons from this story is that you are not alone and that there are villages out there. You just have to go out and find them and surround yourselves. Together, you are so much more powerful. And I just, that everything but that smaller part I just read, like together, if we can just do things together and be, it is like, I totally get that. Like together, we are so much more powerful. And I think that we took that for granted. I think in numbers, there's strength.
Always.
Right. And when we come together as a collective or as a people, as a village, you're being heard more.
Right.
Now I know that me and Uno, like as a whole, the whole voting thing, I decided to vote more legal. I mean, not more legal, of course it will, yeah. But as far as voting locally, that's locally.
Yeah.
I'm more for voting locally because I feel like that's where it starts.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel as though that's where it starts. But in addition, we must continue whoever whoever they bring aboard. We still have to keep going because we can't rely on one person or just that whole, like, we just can't rely on that person. We still have to do our due diligence. And this thing with Flint, with this water crisis, like they said, it's been going on for 3 years, and they're still
He's still suffering.
they're still suffering. You know, when you can't even trust having a filter in your house, when you still feel uncomfortable, like if you drink that water, that water from your sink,
will you even live long?
Will you even live long? With again, with even having a filter, like the only safest way they feel is if they get bottled water.
Right, which I understand. I totally understand.
Which I definitely understand that.
But I know that costs. I mean, because what if the resource of water runs out? I'm saying, as far as bottles.
How do they wash themselves?
Right, yeah, that's and that means you have to kick out money. You have to go to the store and get water to clean yourself and keep yourself up.
Keep yourself up,
man.
That's just that was designed to happen.
Right, but this is my thing. Like all the stuff that's happening, that's more. It's really happening to more black people. I mean, I hate to say it's a race thing, but it is. I mean, because of observation. Like, I know it's a mixture of people, but the majority of the people suffering in Flint are black.
And most of the time, like you said, most of the time when they expose their things, they show more of people of color versus non-blacks.
Blacks, right? They make they make it visible as to this race of people that they want to show on TV or through the media outlets and social media outlets, painting this picture.
Here you see the pitiful children, right, and just the messed up homes a lot. And again, I'm not going to say that it's not affecting everybody, because that's wrong for me to say. However, again, they are showing more of people of color.
Yep.
And I just honestly have to say it. There's a lot of things that we don't want to admit, but there is a lot of black and white situations. As uncomfortable as it is for us, there are a lot of black and white. There is a lot of black and white division, if you will. And I'm not a racist at all. I'm not a racist by no means necessary, but
there's an agenda.
There is, it is an agenda, and when I'm just going to have to speak about it. Not to say that I want anything. Let me make it clear. I don't want anything to happen to anyone wrong. Let me say that.
Right. If you're speaking in a humanitarian way,
in a humanitarian way, because that's me in general in my DNA. I'm a humanitarian.
But when you talk about righteousness and being right, if something is wrong, it's wrong. So
right.
We're dealing with the morality here. Yes.
Right.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just
hurts.
I applaud this doctor for speaking out, Dr. Mona.
Right.
I applaud her for being an advocate, an activist, and she's speaking out. Normally, a lot of times these doctors who speak out, speak on really what the truth is. Unfortunately, a lot of times they're killed, and so I applaud her for standing up.
It takes a lot of heart and balls.
Right, absolutely.
Especially putting your life on the line.
She's going against the grain.
She really is going against the grain. She definitely put herself out there, putting her life on the line for this. So, and just know it can be consequences of standing on truth. And that's the thing about truth. The truth stands as it is. A lie you have to keep up. You have to cover up. You have to backtrack. You have to keep coming with lies. But once you talk about truth or stand on it, nothing can debunk it. So the only thing a person could do who's in fear of truth is react to it in a way, whether it's violent or verbally, So I applaud her.
I do.
Even if it comes either way if it's physical or verbal, I applaud her for just standing up. And like you said, Jade, I'm with her too. Like, I applaud on that. Yeah, because a lot of doctors don't do that.
Right. And who knows if this is ever 100 fully percent going to get resolved.
Mm.
But my good vibes and positive energy definitely goes out to Flint, Michigan, and I hope that they do get things resolved where they can feel comfortable and not feel even scared. I'm sure they feel scared as well.
Yeah, yeah,
They know what time it is.
yeah, yeah. It's
Our children of today and our children of the upcoming future. I mean, this really lead is not a game. I mean, that can affect not only your your physical stability, definitely your mental stability. It could play a part where you become diagnosed with ADHD or have some type of diagnosis to it.
right.
With the way that this world is set up, anything can happen. So yeah, my positive vibes and energy goes out to them. So that's what I had. That's what I have for that. You have anything?
Yes, I do actually.
Okay.
This article that's coming from theroot.com. This article was actually published. I mean, it's recent enough. It's 2018, so, but it was in February. But I mean, of course, Flint is ongoing. So the Flint incident happened way before 2018. The headline reads Flint, 1,383 days without safe water, and the EPA wants to make sure this doesn't happen again. I'm sure it's past those many days because we're in July now.
Right.
But y'all get the drift of the numbers. Monday marks day 1,383 that the people in the city of Flint, Michigan have been without safe water in their pipes. Although experts claim that lead levels are much lower than they were before, residents are still being cautioned to use bottled water or water filters, as the city's old pipes are being replaced, thus prolonging the need for bottled water and water filters. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is looking to prevent home plumbing from being contaminated by particulate lead that could be released as contractors work on the city's service lines. MLive.com reports. To combat that, the EPA is recommending that contractors shut off water to both the service line and the customer before they begin replacement work. Once particulate lead enters the home plumbing, especially if the home plumbing contains galvanized iron pipe, it is difficult to fully flush all of the particulate lead out, and random release of particulate lead into the water can continue long after the lead service line and all associated galvanized iron pipe are fully removed, the EPA recommendation says. In addition, given a potential for very high lead release due to physical disturbances, EPA's technical support team also recommends that service line removal crews coordinate with entities distributing filters to protect homes if there are lead releases. That directive continues. The EPA has previously warned the city about the risk of increasing lead in the drinking water when crews do underground work that could dislodge scale and sediment into water pipes. The agency also warned against using excavation as a means of verifying that presence of lead service lines because that can also release particulate lead. Meanwhile, last year, thousands of water service lines were removed and excavated in the city. City residents are still waiting for the all clear sign as far as their water is concerned. Now, there was a part where in this article they said the lead levels are much lower. I don't see I don't see any progress with that. Like from what I've been hearing and seeing and I've researched, that is still bad. It's still a lot of levels of lead and the crisis is bad. Like people are still suffering from this lead poison. So I don't really think it's lower than it was before. I feel like it's still the same. It is the same. Ain't no feel. I just know it's the same. Like how is the Flint residents' conditions changed? Because they're still dealing with these conditions now. I think a lot of times with these major news, major news outlets or even internet outlets, they all post stories to make it sound like more than what it is. When that's not the reality, when you go on the ground, you out there putting in the footwork, you're in the mud with these people, whether it's in Flint, Michigan, or any community. If you down there on the front line and experiencing it and seeing it for yourself is a whole different story. But the news try to paint it as if everything is getting better, but it's not getting better. So yeah, I had a problem with that part in there, but I mean, I get they have to do whatever they have to do to make it sound, patch it up, make it sound peachy, whatever. But it's just sad that
Mm-hmm.
they still suffering with this lead poison. And there was another part here. It said something about, let me see. I think it was something else here.
And isn't it amazing how the system or the government that just really happens a lot everywhere?
Yeah.
They paint these pictures like there's progress and we're gonna reach this goal and we're gonna get back. The city is gonna get back where it needs to get to, and really, that's why a lot of times people from the cities that things are going on with, they expose truths
Yeah.
to what's really going on.
Right. And then what you was exposing in that article about the old pipes, that's the part I wanted to say
Mm-hmm.
about the old pipes being replaced. Like those pipes shouldn't even been remaining in that particular area in the first place. Those old pipes should have been replaced to guarantee safer water environment, and not just a water environment, but for the citizens to use where it's safe. And I know people are exposing that too, I'm sure, about not just the water, but the pipeline.
Heck, where I work at, we got water issues. I mean, filtered or unfiltered. I'm sorry. Like this morning when I was at work, I went to go get some water so I could make some tea. How about that? Water was yellow brown. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I hope
And
you ain't drink that.
heck no, I threw the water out and the cup and got me a brand new cup. And I work for the water department.
We're gonna do
And
that.
anytime there's an issue where you work at, like me working at a water department, and there are issues going on with the water within the water department where you have to buy bottled water because the water is rusty and it's brown and the pipes and blah blah blah. It's issues.
Yeah, that's a
That's
lot.
issues. There's some issues, which I really never drunk the water from the water fountains anyway, regardless if they were filtered or not. I just used some water. I would just get some bottled water and just get some alkaline or purified or whichever is the best, which pretty much I get the alkaline water and pour that water in the cup and make me some tea and call it a day because it's horrible. It really is. It's really horrible. What else did you have to add?
Well, I wanted to add too, you were speaking about the children that are also infected with the lead levels in Flint, Michigan. I have an article concerning that as well, where a lot of the kids are getting affected. This is coming from Detroit News. Make sure I said it right here. Get the link itself. This is coming from DetroitNews.com. The headline reads, Kids lead levels high in many Michigan cities. That is fucking ridiculous. Excuse my language, but that is damn ridiculous. Okay, so this, I'm sure it's still the same now. I don't think it's changed. This is an old article, but I'm sure not just Adults are getting affected, but kids are still getting affected to this day in Michigan. But I'm going to read this anyway because I want you guys to know what's going on, even if it's in the past, because it's still in it. Even if it happened in the past, it's reflected now. Nothing has changed. Across Michigan, in cities large and small, lead poisoning continues to plague children, limiting them in school and on the playground. While much of the state's focus on lead has rightly been on poison water in Flint, the metal continues to turn up annually in the bodies of thousands of children across the state at percentages well above the numbers that raise red flags in Flint. Elevated blood levels are seen in a higher percentage of children in parts of Grand Rapids, Jackson, Detroit, Saginaw, Muskegon, Harlan, and several other cities. Proof that the scourge of lead has not been eradicated despite decades of public health campaigns and hundreds of millions of dollars spent to find and eliminate it. Did I just say that it's still ongoing? Even if it happened in the past, it's still going on now. And I'm sure if this article was updated, it would be the same updates. Um, this part. This is still an issue. It's not going away, said Dr. Eden Wells, Chief Medical Executive of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Many in the state were shocked earlier this year by the findings in Flint. After a steady decline in lead levels, they began to rise in 2014 after the city switched its water source from Lake Huron to the Flint River. That change in water supply, experts say, triggered the increase in lead poisoning because the more corrosive river water may have stripped the lead from older pipes and bled it into the drinking supply. That uptick in Flint, noted by researchers, is what finally forced state officials to confront the dangers in the city's water. 5% of the Flint children tested had elevated levels of lead, though certain parts of the city have much higher percentages. Now, consider lead exposure rates in some other parts of Michigan. In Detroit, Ham, Hamtramck and Highland Park, 10 zip codes saw more than 10% of children tested have a positive test in 2014. That was nearly 1,000 of the 7,263 children tested, or 13.5%. In Grand Rapids, nearly 1 in 10 children of those tested in 4 zip codes tested positive in 2014. And in Adrian and South Central Michigan, more than 12% of the 640 children tested showed elevated levels of lead. We do have areas in our state and areas in our country where children are at risk, Wells said. In Flint, crisis push rise. This is another headline within this article. Flint's unfolding water crisis once again brought to the fore a danger long known to rob children of cognitive and physiological function, and impulse control. High levels of lead found in students in the Detroit public school system have been linked to that city's notoriously low test scores. In the 48206 zip code on the west side of Detroit, 20.8% of the 701 children tested in elevated levels in 2013 and 20.3% in 2014, the most recent year tested. But I'm sure it's higher now that we in years ahead, we in 2018 now. In much of the state where lead is a problem, the source of poison has been the traditional culprits. Old lead paint on homes built before 1978 and lead residue in dust and soil. Young children are particularly susceptible because of their proximity on the ground to the most common sources of lead. They crawl on their hands, pick up dust and dirt, and put their hands in their mouths. Because of the well-documented dangers of lead, pediatricians are constantly testing children, and every week there are more kids on a weekly statewide report on elevated lead levels, said Paul Hand of the Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan, which works to eliminate household dangers to make children safer and healthier. Parts of Grand Rapids have some of the highest concentrations of children with lead, he said. The most recent report had 90 children on it. Okay, so I got 2 more paragraphs to go. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this article out. This other headline within this article is called Constant Struggle. Taking a broader, longer term view, far fewer Michigan children are testing positive for lead poisoning in recent decades. In 2012, 4.5% of those tested in Michigan showed elevated lead levels, more than 5 times less than the 25.6% a decade earlier. In 2013, that level sank to 3.9% and fell again to 3.5% in 2014. But that is still 5,153 children under age 6 which tested positive in 2014. Each had lead levels above 5 micrograms per deciliter. Though no amount is considered safe, 5 micrograms is the threshold that experts say constitutes a much higher level than most children. The impact of children's nervous system and brains are obvious to parents and teachers. Children who cannot stay on task, retain information, or progress academically and socially. Even low amounts of lead can steal points from a child's intelligence. Cognition they cannot get back. Lead poisoning is irreversible. Some researchers have suggested the overall reduction of lead levels in recent decades, mainly from the elimination of lead in gasoline, explains the decline in violent crime in the United States and elsewhere. But those children who have lived where lead exposure is still found, the implications remain profound and heartbreaking. Kiaya Morrison is a preschool teacher in Detroit and a former veteran kindergarten teacher. Recently, she had a young girl in her class who had elevated levels of lead in her system. Teachers are apprised of health issues with children. Learning was difficult for the girl, and Morrison often would go over simple shapes. This is a triangle. This is a square. But for this girl, it was a constant struggle. She had cognitive problems. Excuse me. She had cognitive problems. She had trouble processing things. Morrison said she could not retain any of the information. At her school in Detroit, where the teacher-student ratio was 1 to 8, Morrison was able to give the girl more attention to catch her when she fell behind. Morrison said she feared what happened to the girl. Her family moved out of the area after preschool. Once she got to kindergarten, first grade, where they could be just one teacher for every 30 students. You really get lost, Morrison said, of the older grades. There's nothing to catch you. And lastly, the last headline is solving the problem. In addition to federal and state money, foundations are pouring money into programs across Michigan that help pay for eliminating lead sources in older homes when a family cannot afford to pay for such work. Progress remains slow. In the last 10 years, those programs have paid for lead abatements, and 1,500 homes across western Michigan. Yet, an estimated 60,000 homes need lead ab- abatement just in that region, said Han of the Healthy Homes Coalition of West Michigan. Even quantifying the extent of the problem is difficult. A 1998 through 2000 study estimated that 38 million homes in the United States have lead-based paint, and 24 million have significant lead-based hazards. In many cases, homeowners eliminate the danger themselves when they repaint a home or replace older plumbing fixtures. But in many places where the housing stock is the oldest and incomes the lowest, dangers persist. Places such as Detroit and Muskegon, that's where foundations and HUD have poured money into tackling a problem that continues to confound. Though the state also has its own program to help pay for abandonment, its budget is limited. Over the last year, 180 homes have qualified through the state program, said Wells, the state's chief medical executive. In addition to the discontinuation of lead and gas, much of the decline in lead levels in recent decades is attributed to changes in construction materials. Lead paint was banned in 1978 and public health activism. The state reaches out to parents and healthcare providers and provides information on where families can turn for help. Pediatricians are encouraged to test all children ages 1 and 2 for lead, and it is required for Medicaid patients. If there is a positive test, the results are confirmed with another blood test. Family and home histories are taken. The source of lead could be from a parent's workplace or from the home. Han said lead is treated as a medical problem, yet the impact extends far beyond a blood test, beyond cognitive and physiological scars. Its toxicity has been correlated to the long-term effects that impact society at large, from wages to high incarceration rates, and the welfare system. More needs to be done to eliminate the problem before a child tests positive. And the problem is, Han said, we're still using kids as lead detectors. And I agree with his statement. Yes, we do need to eliminate the problem before not only a child tests positive, but any person, whether they're children or adult, test positive because that could lead to cognitive problems, you know, or a person wind up violent, or a person wind up psychologically damaged where they wind up in prison or jail because of their conditions of what they're going through. So it's so much to consider, not just morally, but financially and emotionally, physically, mentally. Like the Flint, Michigan needs extreme repair and where people can rebuild their lives all around, not just financially or life wise, but just all around. It's just sad, man. And what the hell is the government doing? Because they're not really doing anything. They don't care about these people, man, at all.
No, not one bit. You right about that. They have no. I mean, if they kill people off, that's just it is what it is.
They just struggle out like it's nothing.
Right. And that's it. And so be it. So be it. It's sad. It's sad the way that the people in the world, it's not necessarily the world, it's the people in the world. And it's just a sad day when it's affecting us. Very much so. I'm sorry. My apologies. Looking to invite some of you good people who always want to invite me to like a page and look at your live feed and your live videos, and so I'm just deciding that I'm taking the time to invite some of you lovely people and your busy schedules, but
right.
but I'm doing it.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Get over it.
They can at least support what you're doing, but they want you to support them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it goes both ways. It don't go one way.
Not at all.
That's how y'all mind set up. Y'all want it to go one way, but then when it's time to turn the paper, everybody get brand new. So
don't you love when folks get brand new? But the thing about it is even if I have a quick moment or little quick, I'll even say little quick attitude. How about I get over it? Trust me. So we're watching people. This is not a rant thing. It's just a reality thing. We watch people, and I just love it. People help me grow more. If you read that post that I had about making sure that you don't put everything out there, that this is a sidebar thing. If you don't watch putting everything out on social media, or watch telling everybody or someone a lot of times about what you're doing, because they steal ideas. And let me just say, there's been some ideas, but I'm gonna take care of that off of Facebook. I'm gonna deal with that accordingly, and however it rolls with, that's just how it's gonna roll with, I guess. Yeah. But anywho, this Flint, Michigan thing with the water, I really hope that gets really resolved sooner than later, because it's been 3 years too long, and people are still without, again, being able to drink tap water without feeling like feeling like they're going to get sick or even die, for that matter. And nobody's really, the real truth is not coming out unless a resident exposes it. And then, they're risking themselves too, because something can happen to them or their family. Just like that Texas situation. Remember, something was going on in Texas, and people just started exposing things like, we looking on the outside, a lot of times thinking that
whatever's reported is actually happening.
Right, but in reality, it really wasn't.
It's a different story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's crazy out here,
So, yes, I have one more thing and then I'm done with the Flint. So, if you are interested in making a donation in regards to Flint, Michigan, to help out in whatever type of way that you can contribute, there is a website that you can go to. And this is from a Flint, Michigan native who created a website for Flint water crisis victims. So, the city of Dallas, June 22nd, 2018, this is coming from issuewire.com. A Flint, Michigan native has launched a crowdfunding platform dedicated to her hometown. Lifeline Me empowers residents to raise money for monthly bills during the ongoing water crisis. Flint residents can create a campaign need on the platform, and people around the world can assist them in reaching desired goals. The Lifeline Me platform currently is raising funds on Kickstarter.com to help fund this new concept. Since more than 50% of Flint's residents are below the poverty line, I knew I couldn't ignore my hometown's cry for help, said Jasmine Rogers, who is the founder of the Lifeline Me platform. We stand for justice for all people, but understand that each fight has a unique voice. The Flint water crisis began in 2014 when the drinking water source for the city of Flint, Michigan was changed to the Flint River. Due to insufficient water treatment, over 100,000 residents were potentially exposed to high levels of lead in the drinking water. This city still needs assistance both in the form of clean drinking water and direct funds to families in need. The platform does not charge any fees to its users, and all funds raised pour back into Flint, Michigan's community. Assist us in spreading the word, sow and reap greatness. So, it's the Lifeline. The Lifeline Me platform can be viewed at www.lifelineme.com. Again, that's www.lifelineme.com. They also have the Lifeline Me Kickstarter campaign, okay, which is located at, they have here www.kickstarter.com /projects /lifeline me /life line me sow and reap greatness. This will be posted up so you can click on the link. Lifeline Me was founded in 2018 as an extension of My Voice, My Fight. My Voice, My Fight has been delivering results since being established in 2016. You can contact Jasmine Rogers, who is the founder of Lifeline Me, at lifelineme@gmail.com. Again, you can email her for further information at lifelineme@gmail.com, and a phone number. And a phone number is, which is probably a business one, okay, so don't think it's personal, 817-680-8099. Again, the number is 817-680-8099. And if you're part of the media, it has that information as well. So again, Lifeline Me, this platform will provide you with the tools to meet your needs with the help of your peers. Our goal is to provide both a superior customer service and tremendous value to your lives. So make sure that you jump on this if you're interested in making any kind of donation. It's going to be posted up in the with the rest of the articles that are read this evening. And
Absolutely.
please support. However, I'm
Please.
sure whether it's a small donation, a large donation, if you're trying to just whatever the need is, give this young lady Jasmine Rogers a call. I'm sure anything
Anything will
is
help.
appreciated.
Anything. They really need the help down there in Michigan. Well, up there in Michigan. Excuse
Hmm.
me. It's just so much going on socially. This world needs a cleanse and healing.
Oh my gosh. It's like,
Oh,
woo, it's a lot.
yeah,
It's
it
a lot.
is.
The people in this world, a lot of them, they're sick. They're real sick. The government, and though I know I do work for the government, just in general, I'm appreciative for having a job and waking up and all the basic necessities, but that still doesn't change how I feel about it.
Right.
I see a lot of things on the inside that I'm not going to put out here. I only have that conversation with Uno. However, start small. You don't. I always say start small. Start small. You have to be more active in things. You can't just keep running your mouth just to hear yourself talk. If you want to be proactive and productive, if you want to be productive, go out and do. You can start small. Get your friends, get your neighbors to come in with you. Please don't wait for the political party to do a lot of things. You have to step out. You have to step out on your faith, or step out on your belief, or step out on your understanding and do these things, because it's not just about you, it's a village.
Yeah.
And we've lost that. We've lost villages, and we need to bring that back. So
You have to. There's no choice, especially with something this severe in Flint, Michigan. That is the time for people to put away their differences, come together for a greater cause where it can help everyone so they can rebuild. Everyone can rebuild their lives because that's so important right now. And people are losing their lives, not just literally in a literal sense. I mean, I know physically, I'm sure people probably have passed away from this lead poison, but not always necessarily literally go transitioning physically, but really just emotionally, mentally, psychologically, spiritually. Like it really tears you down. So we just
mm-hmm.
gotta heal. That's what it comes down to.
That's true.
And love and compassion and empathy and sympathy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're gonna go. Well, do you have anything
I have nothing
else?
else besides that donation thing. I'm done with the whole Flint, Michigan
Okay.
conversation.
All right. So now we can go to the next one, which is about Puerto Rico and their political and social problems that's happening in their country at the moment after Hurricane Maria. So I'm going to read this article. This is coming from, I want to say, commondreams.org. This is something I just pulled up because, okay, I'm going to say this as a side note because yesterday me and Jay picked this topic because I had showed her something about something that was happening currently in Puerto Rico with law enforcement, and the Puerto Rican citizens were actually at war with each other. Well, actually, the law enforcement brutalized the citizens first, so that turned into a whole big thing after the Puerto Rican people had a May Day protest. And I'm sure people was frustrated and upset. And you know how law enforcement can be, rather than another country or here, they react to citizens a totally different way, and it's not always healthy. So it turned into a big thing, and it was a lot of ruckus and mess. But that was a side note I wanted to say. So of course we wanted to go ahead and talk about this because this is still affecting Puerto Rico after the Hurricane Maria. Like when I say affecting, I mean in a humanitarian way, in a financial way, social way. People are still being affected from the ravishing of the storm that happened. a while back. So I want to read this article coming from commondreams.org. The headline reads, Police unleash brutal attacks on austerity protesters and pro police unleash brutal attacks on austerity protesters in storm ravaged Puerto Rico. While inhumane and strikingly anti-democratic budget cuts are imposed on the U.S. territory, outrage after law enforcement used tear gas and rubber bullets to break up May Day demonstrations. Police in Puerto Rico deployed tear gas and fired rubber bullets to shut down May Day protests as thousands of people took to the streets of the U.S. territory, which is still battling the devastation caused by Hurricane Maria. Excuse me, and the debt crisis that preceded the storm. While people worldwide demonstrated Tuesday to demand improved labor conditions on International Workers' Day, Puerto Ricans also turned out to protect the Trump administration's failed response to the humanitarian crisis that followed the hurricane, as well as austerity measures imposed by the federal government both before and after the storm struck last September. Now, this lady named Molly Crabapple has a tweet on Twitter. She responds with, not content to deliberately botch the response to Maria, nor to merely sell Puerto Rico to the lowest bidder. The Rosello government is also targeting community organizers for arrests and greeting peaceful protesters with police batons, tear gas, and rubber bullets. Hashtag para nacional, nacional, paro nacional. That's how I'm guessing that's how you say it. Journalist Naomi Klein has written and spoken at length about how the island's current crisis has been used to push a radical corporate agenda on Twitter. She decried the brutal attacks on Puerto Rico's teachers and students yesterday as they resisted disaster capitalism. Klein pointed to protest coverage by Jesse Hagopian, who called photos and videos from teachers and community members who went out on strike against mass school closures, layoffs, and the school privatization. Puerto Rico's education department provoked outrage last month when it unveiled plans to close nearly a third of the island's public schools. Mercedes Martinez, the president of Teachers Federation of Puerto Rico, told Hagopian on Tuesday that law enforcement's response to the demonstrations was brutal. This is a quote here on the side of this article. It says, "It sent over 1,000 police to intimidate the protests. People are hurt and in the hospital. It was brutal. They chased students to their homes, entered without warrants, and arrested them. This is the class struggle." Mercedes Martinez, Teachers Federation of Puerto Rico. Now, back to the actual article. "Today was a day of pure struggle," she said. "I just got home from going to the police stations to check on our people. They sent over 1,000. Well, I just read that part, so we don't have to read that again. Despite the violence, the mass protesters garnered minimal attention from the U.S. corporate media. As journalist John Nichols noted on Twitter, he has a tweet on Twitter that says, "Our miserable failed cable and broadcast media could not be bothered to provide coverage of the massive demonstrations on May Day in Puerto Rico." He made it a hashtag. "Where U.S. citizens who are being ravaged by federal government imposed austerity rose up and protest. Shame." And he has a link within his tweet. Let's see. Okay, well, got this last paragraph then. Writing for the Nation about the protests, the federal government's brutal austerity agenda, and Senator Bernie Sanders' proposed alternative path, Nichols detailed the inhumane and strikingly anti-democratic moves that drove many Puerto Ricans to the streets on Tuesday, he writes. Established in 2016 after enthusiastic lobbying by House Speaker Paul Ryan and his cronies on Wall Street and in Washington, the Financial Oversight and Management Board for Puerto Rico was designed to address the debt crisis by overruling local democracy, and is doing just that. This month, the board moved to cut pensions that sustain families across the islands, which were ravaged by hurricanes and tropical storms in 2017, to force a consolidation of agencies that are essential to rebuilding Puerto Rico. to reduce sick leave and vacation pay for the public workers who struggle to maintain civil society, to slash aid to Puerto Rico's 78 municipalities, and to cut funding for its largest public university. Jocelyn Velasquez from the Collective Promises Are Over, which organized one of Tuesday's marches in San Juan, the island's capital, listed some of the protesters' demands in an interview with Democracy Now! On Wednesday. We are demanding the repeal of the PROMESA Act, she declared. Referring to the legislation that established the Oversight Board, we demand eliminating the Fiscal Control Board. Now, when they said PROMESA Act, there's a highlight on the word legislation, so I'm guessing, which is probably what it is, that you can click on that highlighted word and find out what PROMESA Act is. So I highly recommend checking it out to find out what that is, because it does correlate with what's going on in Puerto Rico politically. We demand the creation of democratic and participatory process to audit the debt, where we know what the money was wasted on and how it was wasted, and from there begin to find a system that identifies what part of the debt is legal and what part is illegal, Velasquez added. Then the debt that is illegal needs to be removed so that we can identify a plan to reconstruct the country and regain our economy. And again, this is coming from commondreams.org. And not just Flint, Michigan. I mean, Puerto Rico is going through a lot too, man. Like rebuilding in general. A lot of the people there lost everything because of the hurricane. And now they're struggling with the government. Just how Flint, Michigan, all the black people there struggle with the government because they're doing a poor job. Just like in Puerto Rico, they're doing a poor job, and the president is not doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, y'all on president.
On a political front, I feel like he can do a lot more for the people of Puerto Rico. He has to enforce a lot of things. But I know at the same time it's all a game politically because a lot of these guys are lobbyists, so they're laundering money to fund their own needs and their cronies' needs, their homies' needs, where they can stay at a certain status. So yeah, it's just sad. So I understand why the people are upset, and they're trying to get some justice here. They're trying to get help. They're trying to get justice. They want to relive their lives again.
They should.
They're tired of the bull, and they're tired of struggling, and no one caring. I mean, what do you think about this whole story?
I mean, people that's in these worlds, everything seems to stem from the government and these politicians. And I do have my feelings on both sides of voting. Because I feel, in my personal opinion, and again, is my personal opinion, people can agree or disagree. Like, we do all this voting, we make sure we get, a lot of us make sure that we get out here to do the voting. A lot of people talk about, well, if it wasn't for our ancestors back in the day, I get it. I do get it. And I also get that there's a lot of people, a lot of our ancestors that, or our people that did not vote and still was just as proactive. So a part of me on the much higher end of it, I can't get with it. But on the local part of it, I get it. But I think at the end of the dot, again, you still have to be proactive yourself. You cannot rely on the government
for everything.
For everything.
Come on now, you put that much trust in the government.
So yeah, and that much trust in a president. You just can't. The government's been screwed up, I'm sure, as long as I can go back and think. It's just been messed up
right
for a very large time. So you have to be you still have to be proactive and productive and grow on your village and all of that. So yeah, I
Right.
just I feel for the people that in Puerto Rico as well.
Yeah.
It's just
I
sad
feel
all the way around.
it is sad all the way around.
Definitely,
And
definitely.
I know people lost their lives, and it don't always have to be physically.
Hmm.
People think it's physical all the time. No, I mean people feel like they lost spiritually and emotionally and socially and psychologically, mentally.
It takes a toll on everyone.
Right.
Hmm.
Do you have something that
I do.
correlates with this tragic story that's going on in Puerto Rico?
Well, I have something from the Miami Herald, and this article, the caption is "Displaced Puerto Ricans can fly home or stay in Florida with no FEMA housing. They're staying." Scattered across a small coffee table in Richard Gonzalez motel room this week were papers to keep him from becoming homeless. There was a resume in English that his daughter in Puerto Rico had made for him. There was a list of contacts for social service agencies. There was a piece of paper on which Gonzalez had scrawled the phone numbers of a dozen apartments for rent. But by Saturday morning, after finishing his 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift as a dealer at Seminole Casino in Hollywood, Gonzalez was preparing to check out of the Extended Stay America Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, his bare bones home for the past 2 months. Gonzalez, who is 53, planned to drive north to Orlando, where his mother and brother had lived for several years. Like thousands of American citizens from Puerto Rico who fled to Florida after Hurricane Maria last September, Gonzalez doesn't know what comes next. The money keeping a roof over his head is going away as Federal Emergency Management Agencies, short for FEMA, hotel voucher program expires June 30th. So now it has already expired because we're into July. What Gonzalez does know is he's not moving back to Puerto Rico, at least not yet. Asked what he will do after this weekend, Gonzalez, whose wife and adult daughter and son still live on the island, begins to cry. "I would like to go to Puerto Rico right now, but to what?" he said in Spanish, explaining that jobs there are nowhere to be found. "I tell my wife, what are we going to do? Without work, I can't do anything." FEMA has extended the deadline of its voucher program, known as Transitional Shelter Assistance, short for TSA, 4 times since October, sometimes with just a few days to spare. But now the agency has presented a final proposition: accept a one-way plane ticket back to the island by July 1st or find housing another way. The vast majority have chosen to stay. Out of nearly 600 families in Florida who were still part of the hotel voucher program on June 26, only 44 had returned to Puerto Rico on FEMA's dime, according to the agency. The latest national statistics provided by FEMA show that among almost 2,000 families who remained in hotels as of June 2nd, just 11 had flown home and 180 had expressed interest in doing so. Luis de Rosa, president of the Puerto Rico, Puerto Rican, wait a minute, Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce in Miami, which has been working to assist displaced families in the region, said FEMA. was making a mistake by cutting off hotel aid. If you cut them off, where are they going to go? Duh, the street? Like, seriously.
That's a
Right.
stupid question.
Stupid question.
That's real stupid.
D. Rosa said, this is called forced homelessness by the federal government. It's in that plan. Like I say, government cannot be trusted. They shady and they've been shady forever.
Yep.
They don't care nothing about you having a family, small children.
They don't care.
Elderly or older. They care.
Anyone that's ill, sickly,
sick,
they don't
disabled,
care.
and whatever that way is, mentally or physically, they don't care.
Y'all gotta understand, you're not dealing with humans here, and that's another thing y'all got to understand. These people are demonic beings. So if you got darkness in your heart, in your soul, darkness all through you, you have no care for no life at all, and that includes destruction of the world, destruction of the weather. You don't care about no life force, no life form, period. So it's not surprising.
No,
that's what I'm trying to say. It's just not surprising because of their nature.
It further reads, most of the displaced families in Florida have landed in Osceola and Orange counties, in some cases occupying the lion's share of entire motels in Orlando and Kissimmee. But 46 such families were still living in Miami-Dade County hotels as of this week, the third most of any county in the state. More than 7,000 families and over 19,000 people have participated in the voucher program nationally since Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico 9 months ago, wiping out its power grid and likely resulting in thousands of deaths. In the weeks that followed, FEMA was roundly criticized for its slow response. Since then, most families have managed to leave their hotels and either move in with family members, find low-income rentals, or return to Puerto Rico. But for the last enduring hotel occupants, affordable housing has felt impossible to find. Let's see, it further reads, I'm going to go down to the end because it has quite a bit for you guys to read. Pretty much the Gonzalez gentleman that I was speaking about, he says he likes his job at the casino. It's a position similar to the one he held back at home, and he proudly notes that he was named Employee of the Month for June. In the long term, he sees room to advance there and make more money for his family. Of course, that's all on hold for now. Here, the difficult thing is the apartments, Gonzalez says. Where will I get help? And with that, pretty much like a lot of cities, the resources are slim, or, it's kind of like if you fit into that clique, you can get that help.
Yeah.
Sure. Homelessness is on the rise in a lot of different cities and states. So it's just sad because you're busting your butt working all these long hours to pay to pay for a hotel.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have that family story, and that kind of ticks me off when people, when you're in a situation and you're trying to get help, the first thing, okay, I get you want to ask, well, do you have family or do you have siblings or whatever? But everybody doesn't have that family. No. Everybody does not have that family connection for them to get help. And then the other thing that really trips me out is when people say, well, can you borrow where? Like if you had to do all that, I don't think people wouldn't be in that situation.
You wouldn't even be asking anybody.
You wouldn't be asking. Exactly. And
you brought up a good point. What if that person don't have no connection or relationship with their families? Or how about what if they don't have friends like that? What if they're not into dealing with people a lot and they're just alone handling their problems? You just don't know people's like situations, so you can't really assume they
Right.
can borrow from family members or close friends
Mm.
because everybody don't
Go to the
have
loan place and get a quick loan. No, I
right.
mean, you just don't know the situation. And so, yeah, and so we have to, as a people, always be appreciative of what we currently have.
Yeah.
Because somebody definitely is going through it worse than you.
Yep. That's why I have to remind myself of
And
that every day.
I have to remind myself too, there's so much homelessness that I've seen, homelessness in Philly, homelessness, of course it's just everywhere.
It is.
It's just everywhere, and it's really sad, and I feel like it's going to get worse.
It's not getting better.
I'm not trying to jinx anything,
But that's
but I
what it
just
is.
really feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree.
And so the resources are very slim. They put out these resources, but when you research it, there's really not
much you can go with.
that you can go with.
Right.
And it's not cheap. I'm sure I'm not a resident of Florida, but it's not cheap to live in Florida.
It ain't.
They expensive too.
Right, them little hut houses they got, they be expensive like it's New York or something.
Right.
How you spend all that money on a hut house? It don't be that big.
Right. Right.
Can you imagine how much the bigger houses will be?
Exactly.
If that hut is expensive, imagine you getting a bigger house.
Exactly. I mean, it's just looking everywhere. Like, lived in California, already know that's expensive. Had my bout in New York, know that's expensive. Philly's expensive. Jersey expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta has now it's there.
Every time we turn around, we out somewhere. Every time we turn around, there's something hot. Whether it's apartment or duplex or what they call those homes that look like apartments. Those the ones that was over there by Decatur. They call those They close together, but they're like homes, but they're apartments.
I mean, I know they're apartments right offhand. I don't know.
Not duplexes, but
the single family homes?
Yeah.
Or the multi-family homes or something like that?
They're like living quarters, you
right.
know. So you got apartments, those homes you just spoke of, duplexes. What's that? What's another one? Can't think offhand, but just living.
They have lofts and studios.
Lofts, yeah.
Yeah, lofts and studios.
That's the word.
I don't even think they have a thing anymore called efficiency. You just do this. There used to be a thing where it was an efficiency. Now it's just kind of the studio thing. And then you go into the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. Renting or buying a home is It's just expensive
here.
It's just expensive everywhere. Like, I'm looking to buy a home. I'm in the process of with my realtor looking at different options and stuff. And if you want something of quality, if you want to live in a decent neighborhood, you know what I'm saying, where it's mixed, not one or the other, but it's mixed, you're going to pay for it. That's just the way that it is. You're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And if you want it, I guess, even more, I want to say not as expensive, because when you're in the city, when you're in any city, of course, it's expensive. But when you step out of the city, well, depending on the city and the state, because I know Philly is just, to me, high everywhere, just like California is just high everywhere. But especially like in Atlanta, like if you want to go further out, like Conyers or Stockbridge and things like that, not to say that it's not expensive, but it's a little more doable. But if you don't have a car to get back and forth from out in further counties into the city, especially if you work in the city, it's gonna cost. Because you got the transportation,
or Lyft every day to work.
Yes, because there's certain areas that even, not MARTA, but the Gwinnett, like those other buses that run, like they may run Monday through Friday up to a certain time, but USOL, if you trying to get back into the city, unless you driving, they don't have MARTA out there on the weekends.
No, it runs funny.
it runs funny, and it
Yeah.
takes way longer if they do have it for you to come in the city. So you didn't spend your whole almost your whole half of the day waiting for a bus
Right, to get there.
to get back into this back and forth. So
Right.
yeah, you just
It's
have
a
to
lot.
be strategic and really do your due diligence and do your research. So, but homelessness is such, it's so sad being a former person who was homeless once upon a time. It's just so sad to see the rise of it. And I said back way when I was living in Philly, like it's gonna be worse before it gets better. And I was homeless then saying it, foreseeing it now. And so yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, kind of.
It's a
Yeah.
little crazy there.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's just a lot,
It's
man.
it's a lot.
The
So
world is going to shit. Excuse me, but that's what it is. The world is going to shit.
excuse me, people.
Bless you.
Thank
Bless
you,
you.
thank you. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Anything else? I'm just going to post because I know we're working with time, but I'm just anything else I have will be posted.
Okay, and yeah, I don't have no other articles. That was it
Okay.
for the Puerto Rico situation. So I'll let you take it.
What are we talking about next? What are we on next?
Well, I should go into it because it's
Yes, please
talking.
do.
Well, no, because you didn't talk about Tanya Bell, so I'll let you take it.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay,
I'm
because I was
positive. I'm
okay.
positive.
Okay, so next we're gonna talk about my second home, Philly. Hey, Philly, if anybody listens, hey, what's up? Miss y'all. Hope to see y'all real soon. It might even just be a little weekend getaway, but yeah, I'm not gonna tell you because then if I tell you, then something to come up and I won't make it. So I'm gonna just surprise y'all and be like, I'm here. um, so there is an article. Can't get this off. Get off. Okay. There's a situation, y'all, that happened. Headline, caption, a Philadelphia story, falsely declared dead, home stolen, and no one will help. Okay? 3 years ago, Tanya Bell went to City Hall and discovered that she was dead and that her house had been stolen. She learned these things when she looked at the deed for a property she owned in Germantown. In the deed, she had been declared dead by a man she had never heard of. He had named himself her sole heir and taken ownership of her house for $1. In the years that followed, the saga of her stolen house took many twists and turns, few of them good for Belle. She learned that the notary who approved this $1 sale to Brahim Hurt later admitted she never met the heir and helped fabricate the paperwork as a favor to her cousin. She learned that a company that renovates and resell homes had ended up the owner of her property and resold it for almost $300,000. Excuse me. Without ever contacting her, the firm filed legal papers declaring that she had no claim on the property and accusing her of having obtained it by fraud. She also learned a hard lesson about asking for help in Philadelphia. She reached out to the records department, the sheriff's office, the police department, and the district attorney's office. Nobody assisted her. After a year, a private lawyer said she had no case and dumped her as a client. Her story also exposed the empty promise of the city's highly taunted reforms to crack down on the theft of houses, a problem in Philly for decades now.
Mm.
By law, those reforms required officials to ask people filing deeds to show identification and death certificates to prove they are rightful heirs, and for the deeds office to take a picture of the fillers and keep a photocopy of their ID. Nothing like that happened here. A substantial stone twin. Belle, who's 61, is retired now after a career working for a pair of Philadelphia civil rights leaders, the late C. Dolores Tucker and the late Samuel Evans. She is taking classes at the University of Pennsylvania to complete her bachelor's degree and caring for her infirm mother. Belle by nature is curious. She's meticulous and very determined too. I believe this is bigger than me. This has been happening to many people, Belle said, recently referring to the heist of her house. I've been in the civil rights movement. It's not unusual for us to be fighting for our rights, and that could take a long time. She and her 87-year-old mother have lived for years in a row house on Portico Street in Lower Germantown. It cost her about 27,000 in 1993. In 2002, she bought a nicer house a few miles north in Germantown near the border with Mount Airy. It is a substantial stone twin on Green Street near Duval. She paid only a nominal $1, but with the understanding that she would pay off the owner's tax debts. The seller was Linda Penny, a niece of Tucker, Pennsylvania's first Black female Secretary of State. Belle dated Penny's brother for many years. Belle intended to move into the Green Street house after she fashioned a first floor apartment for her mother who suffers from arthritis. As the years passed, though they stayed at Portico. The Green Street property sat vacant as Belle worked to refashion it inside. For years, receipts show Belle kept paying property taxes after first putting up $33,000 to pay off Penny's back taxes and repairing the house which was $4,000 to fix the basement and front walkway, among many other expenses. All of this was naught. The first sign of trouble surfaced in late 2015. Driving by the Green Street property, Belle saw that someone had torn off the porch. Fresh lumber was nearby. Belle had checked city records online. She discovered something alarming. She was no longer listed as the owner of the house. Excuse me. Belle went to City Hall to pull the actual documents. A clerk handed her a 4-page deed. It attested that in 2014, one Brahim Hart, sole heir to Tanya Belle, deceased, had bought her house for $1. Okay, this says how to steal a house. It's a part of the article.
Wow. Steal a house.
The sources come from the City of Philly Records Department, Secretary of State's office. In 2014, a man calling himself Brahim Hart filed this phony document with the city's deed office. He declared Germantown homeowner Tanya Belle dead, himself her heir, and took ownership of the house for $1. The thief didn't even bother to put down a date of death for Belle. Belle is alive, well, and she is angry.
As she should be.
As she should be. The deed also declared that the said Tanya Belle departed this life on no death was given. Hart didn't even bother to complete the sentence. Because it was an intra-family transfer, Hart paid no transfer tax. The deed includes the signature and seal of Notary Public Leila L. Hillard, declaring that Hart had appeared before her in November 2014, provided proof of his identity, and executed the sale. Much later, Hillard would admit that wasn't true. So I am going to definitely just kind of scroll down a little more because it is a lengthy article, but I just want to kind of, it's lengthy. Okay, so as for Green Street House, the place was extensively renovated, city records show, and resold by affordable homes for 299,000 dollars. As for Brahim Hart, he's in the wind. So again, second home Philly, but right is right and wrong is wrong. Like that's just some crazy ish.
That's really messed up.
Really,
They're really doing it dirty like that in Philly?
Oh yeah.
Don't white folks crazy. How they doing them black folks dirty like that? I know you told me some stories. Well, not some. But you told me a couple stories about
our folks too was dirty.
I know, but what I'm saying is with these situations, you know how Philly is a racist city. But the story that you told me about certain situations or instances of racial discrimination or abuse, and abuse don't always have to be physical, or taking advantage of a certain class of people, or even race concern, it's just it really turned up there.
Yeah, they are.
They lit.
And they got a lot of stuff with them too. I mean, I've had my own personal experiences that went on in Philly. That's my hometown. That's my second home. Let me say that because I cannot. Jersey is first and foremost where I was born at. But also have been raised in Philly as well, and that's my second. That's my second home. And I will always love my Jersey and Philly homes, but it's a lot of things that go on. Just got to be honest. It's a lot of stuff.
That's
a lot of stuff that go on in
people had
in Philly or Jersey,
But they had this perception and assumption that down south is just the only racist region. Like they think the south is the only place that's racist, as if up north can't be racist.
And I've definitely experienced racism, as I've shared on previous shows, from cops pulling guns at me, and just their mannerism, their unprofessionalism, and just even in Jersey being stopped because we're people of color and we're young and we shouldn't speak or shouldn't have certain cars and shouldn't dress certain ways, and you're just being pulled over just because you weren't doing anything wrong, but you got a passing cop that's looking at you like, why do they have this car?
Right. As if they can't work for like any other race or person.
Absolutely.
Who's worked hard through life.
I mean, just like I've had great experiences in Jersey and Philly, I've had crappy ones too. So I'm not going to dismiss that.
Yeah.
Because it happens anywhere you go. Yes.
And it don't matter.
And it does not matter.
Down south, up north, Midwest, West Coast, it's racism everywhere. Even outside of America, it's racism. So you can't escape it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I'm with you there.
Right.
You have something else with that?
I do not. Again, it's a very lengthy article, so you can definitely read it at your leisure when it's posted. Yeah, so I'm kind of done with that.
Okay, so we're gonna get into the last one, more deeper one, because this one here is suspect as I don't know what. Anyway, this is coming out of my state, Georgia. Gotta represent for Georgia. Where all my Georgia people at?
Oh, Georgia ATL.
Turn up. A-Town forever. Forever I love it. Forever I love it.
Forever ever.
But for all my people, who's from Georgia. I don't know if you heard about this story. Even if you're not from Georgia, that's okay. But most times, every state has local news, so this is a local thing. So I'm only speaking to my aliens right now. If you heard about the story, this is coming from GwinnettDailyPost.com because this happened in Cobb County. A body was found inside beer cooler at SunTrust Park. So if you've been to the new baseball stadium, then you know what I'm referring to. You know what I'm saying. This is reported through Fox 5 Atlanta. I'm going to read the story. Police have identified a contractor whose body was found in a beer cooler at SunTrust Park in Cobb County. The man has been identified as Todd Keeling, 48, of White Bear Lake, Minnesota. A co-worker made the grisly discovery hours before the first pitch at the Braves home game Tuesday afternoon at SunTrust Park. Cobb County police said the worker was employed by a third-party contractor. The worker's body was found in one of the vendor areas. Police said they responded to the stadium around 3:30 p.m. to investigate after receiving a 911. Investigators are working to determine the nature of the person's death. Detectives were not released late Tuesday evening if they thought it was an accident or if there were signs of foul play, citing that it was too early in the investigation. Police said the Atlanta Braves are working with investigators. Braves management declined to comment and referred all questions to police. No word on if this impacted any services during Tuesday night's game against the Cincinnati Reds. Fans at the park who came early before the first pitch said they noticed the typical police presence at a home game and saw nothing out of the ordinary with law enforcement activity around the field. I wasn't aware. There were plenty of police here. There are police here all the time, one fan said. And that's the story through Gwinnett County about the man that was found in the freezer. Now, when I even saw the story, when I saw it come out, I saw it on Instagram first. I'm like, what in the world? What's going on? It sounds fishy. It sounds suspicious. It sounds suspect. I'm sorry, I can't agree and say it's an accident. Sound like it was foul play to me. Now, if it comes out to be an accident, okay, because we know accidents can happen, and sometimes it can be very crucial. Sometimes it can be deadly. But from what I've read and how it's sounding, because my mind is going somewhere else with it, sounds like foul play. What was the reason of this person getting killed? Why? What did they need? What was needed from this person after they was killed? Is this an organ trafficking situation? Is this a sacrifice situation? That's what my head went at when I heard about the story. Especially with all this stuff going on now, different stories are coming out about people getting killed and they found in freezers or someone put them in a freezer and their organs are missing or they just in a freezer and it was planning on getting their organs removed or whatever the case is. The first thing I thought about was when I heard about the Kanika Jenkins thing, Daria Davis and Jordan Bilbo and so many others that's been affected by murders and how their bodies were dealt with. Well, not so much to Daria Davis, but it was kind of similar though. It was kind of similar. I think she was. I thought her body was found though. Could have swore her body was found in the freezer, but gotta check back on that one. Gotta check back on that story. But definitely Jordan Bilbo and Kanika Jenkins and a few others after them. So to hear this story, what stuck out to me was body found inside beer freezer. That's all that stuck out to me. After that,
Your mind went somewhere
my
else.
mind was somewhere else. I had a lot of thoughts in my head. I had a lot of opinions and feelings about this. So I'll say it's some foul play, and that man was probably sacrificed for something else to benefit somebody else. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm like you when I did see it. And they talking about He did body in a freezer with beer, and I mean it was just odd. I mean, come on, let's think about it.
Yeah,
let's think about it.
Whether he
black,
sense.
right?
Come on,
Whether he black or white, I mean, I just see it as
what they need from him.
Right. What do they need from him? I think somebody killed the man.
Right.
And stuffed his body in the freezer.
Right.
Yeah. He was found dead, a human body found dead in the freezer at SunTrust Park in Cobb County of Georgia. And, of course, the police are going to cover it up.
That's their job. They all brotherhood.
They're saying that they're being really active, and it says this is still an active investigation. So I am unable to speculate. That's that word, speculate.
Okay.
Whether or not foul play is a factor. All right. As you said, he's been identified as a third-party contractor and was found by another worker. Again, our brains, the way, and this is
how it's set up right now.
This is not scripted. The way our brains set up, it just sounds real suspect to me.
It sounds suspect. It's more to this story.
It's definitely more to.
It don't sound right.
It just. It doesn't sound right. They're investigating. How much are you really investigating?
What is it investigating, man? Is it a murder or suicide?
Right. Right.
Like you said, they're just trying to cover up the police.
Something is being covered up. They'll probably rule it wrong.
Suicide,
mental issues. They just love taking that and running with it. Now, granted, being a suicide survivor, I know that is very much real out here. You know what I'm saying? And as well as it's very real with mental illness. But they take it and they abuse those words.
That's the theory they always run with.
Right. And they abuse that. They abuse that, and that just pisses me off.
It does. They just use it too loosely. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't believe that's a suicide. So let's just cut that mess.
I strongly don't believe it's suicidal either.
I don't feel that.
I believe that somebody murked that man.
Right.
And they just stuffed his body in the freezer.
Yeah. That's all that was. They murked him. He got killed. And that's all there's to it.
Hashtag facts.
And that's a choice.
Hashtag choice on what they do.
Kanye got us over here geeking on that. It's a choice thing.
And facts. That up north.
That's that up north thing. Y'all say facts. Facts, son. Facts. Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
Do I like your child, nigga? Oh, I'm just playing.
Really?
I'm sorry.
Okay. But yeah, that. Yeah. I can't even speak much on that anymore.
Yeah, I will say I'm going to be following the story.
Oh, definitely.
I'm still going to be following the story to get some leads and some more details because I want to see all this unfold. Because there's definitely something to that story of that man being found in that beer freezer.
Absolutely, and I hope that there is an update to my Philly home on that lady, Miss Tanya Bell.
Oh yeah.
In regards to her housing, just really trying to get her identity back.
Right, because she got stolen by some crooked dummy.
Right.
Who lied on her life.
Right, lied and said he was an heir, and she don't even know, like,
she's dead.
Like, she doesn't even know him.
I know, and she don't know that she's actually claimed dead. Right. Like, who does that?
Right. Who does that? That's.
But that just lets you know, people. That's people. People ain't nothing. People ain't nothing.
Exactly.
Bottom line.
And so let me put this out here also. As we know, July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Again, it is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So whether you're looking at this live right now or you will be looking at the replay, I am looking for individuals who are willing to speak. If you live with a mental illness or a mental disorder, or you have a mental challenge, or you have a loved one that has that as well, or you're caring for a loved one, or you work for a a business that caters to mental health and or behavioral health, I personally invite you to come and be a guest on our podcast, Chit Chat Chew Show. You can be, as authentic as anyone knows. We are very this is who we are. We talk about many topics. We have many conversations. Some are uncomfortable for people. We're going to agree to disagree. Even if it's me and Uno, we're going to agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, it's all good.
Yeah, it's
the
all
dialogue.
Good.
That's what we look for.
And that's what we're trying to do. Dialogue where we got maybe some solutions or some ideas.
Exactly.
Help somebody. You just never know.
Exactly. And so
inspire.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you, Judith, for getting on.
Appreciate you, Judith.
We appreciate you taking your time out to get on, and make sure that you guys definitely, again, support our page and share our page and make it go viral, and let's support each other. Support business and support Black-owned businesses. Very necessary and very important.
Absolutely.
We can put I'm thinking we can put, our outlets.
Okay, I will say them. I'll just go ahead and put
1, 2. I'll do 2, and I'm going to be quiet after that.
All right.
So if you want to visit our website, make sure that you go to www.chitchatchewshow.com. Again, www.chitchatchewshow.com. If you are interested in being on our podcast, which is Chit Chat Chew Show, make sure that you email us. Our business email is chitchatchew_show@yahoo.com. Again, that's chitchatchew_show@yahoo.com. We definitely will keep an open mind to see if we both fit together to be on the show. If so, we're going to roll with it. If not, we still going to roll with it. So, we're looking for individuals. Again, this is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. If caregiver or non-caregiver, if you're a peer, if you're a corporation, a business, a solo entrepreneur, whatever the case may be, if you're interested in getting your business exposed on our show, make sure you hit us up. Also, we do have sponsorship packages. That's where you can go to our chitchatchewshow.com page, our website rather, and you can check us out, the different packages. Pretty affordable, I think, considering. And, affordable packages, you can look at them if you want your business advertised on our website. Also, we have a donation button if you're interested in donating to our business. We have a link or links for that as well. And I'll do the Facebook real quick. The podcast, we have a podcast. We have a group. We have a Facebook group. You can join our group, which is Chit Chat Chew Show Podcast. Again, we have a Facebook group, Chit Chat Chew Show Podcast. Of course, we have this page, a Facebook page, which is Chit Chat Chew Show, LLC. Again, Chit Chat Chew Show, LLC. We have a Be Authentic page, just B, not BE, but B Authentic, AUTHENTIC page. We have for our LGBTQIA, go down the whole alphabet list if you choose, but it's Lotus Monk. Lotus Monk. You can don't nobody else have Lotus Monk. Just go on there, Lotus Monk. And that is for our LGBT community and allies. That's a page that you can like as well. I plan on, my goal is to do some LGBTQ topics that are just related to us on our Lotus Monk page specifically for us. Also, we have a Aisha Speaks Jade, which is my personal Facebook page. Again, it's a motivational page, and it's Aisha Speaks Jade. Make sure that you tune into that and like it and support it. So that's, oh, one more thing. I have a healthy dispensary store, the new healthcare. You can definitely join it. You can like my page, rather. Definitely come to Life's Total Wellness. That is my Facebook page. Life's Total Wellness. It's 100% organic, has essential oils, it's vegan, non-GMO, is gluten-free. We have CBD products, which is hemp, without the high, people. Without the high.
Yeah, this is not for no smoking purposes. This
Right.
is straight for healing and medical purposes.
Exactly. Not that I have anything against the cannabis.
Oh,
I'm definitely an advocate, but
I'm all with that.
This is not that. This is the CBD hemp oils without the high, as well as those essential oils that I said as well. If you want to check out my healthy dispensary store, please go to Life's LIFES Total TOTAL Wellness WELLNES.healthyplaceBotanicals.com. Again, that's Life's Total Wellness healthyplacebotanicals.com. Okay.
All right. Now I can say the social media sites. You said the Facebook group. For the Facebook page, Chit Chat 2 Show, LLC. Make sure you like us on Facebook. We have a YouTube, which is you just subscribe to Chit Chat 2 Show podcast. So make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications to get updates on when we post videos, upload them. Make sure you like, share, and comment on our YouTube videos. We'll definitely appreciate it. Negative feedback, positive feedback, it doesn't matter. We appreciate all feedback. Thank you for your support. We have a Instagram at Chit Chat 2 Show Podcast. Make sure you like us on Instagram. We have a Twitter at CCCS_podcast. Again, at CCCS_podcast. We tweet about our show. We tweet about us. We tweet about our brand. We thank you in advance. We also have a Vimeo and we have a SoundCloud. They both have the same name at Chit Chat 2 Show Podcast. Make sure you follow us on those platforms. I think I said them all.
One more.
Go ahead.
I have a YouTube.
Okay.
Aisha Speaks Jade.
Check it out.
Check it out. So please
subscribe to her YouTube channel.
Subscribe, hit the bell notification, subscribe, listen, like, support, share. I'm on that journey of motivational speaking, public speaking. I'm just a speaker, and I give you me. And I look forward in the near future to actually having motivational people in general, whether they are a speaker, a financial, a business coach, a tax person. That's in the near future going to be on my Facebook page, which whatever you find on that is definitely going to the YouTube, and vice versa. I might do some on YouTube and it'll be coming over to Facebook. So just make sure that people, our social medias will be put out there for you guys to share, not to steal, but to share.
Big dang difference.
Let me say side note, and then I'm going to be quiet.
I'm about to fight y'all.
This is a legit business. We come.
I look like somebody old pop.
Why? You somebody's Papa Smurf.
Like somebody old pop. They trying to fight somebody.
Right.
That's how I feel right now. I feel like a Papa Smurf.
Yes. So, what was I saying? You made me forget.
Oh, stealing, not stealing.
Yes, please, people, with the fakeness, because I see y'all. This is not a hobby. This is not part of doing a project at school
or something on the side.
This is a full-time business. Okay, it is legit. The state of Georgia says it's legit. Us paying our our fee every year. This is legit.
And not just in the States,
we are also
but across the United States.
Across the United States, okay?
So you want to try it, go ahead now.
Also, our Be Authentic is a registered mark. We are legit. Please, please, please don't take this like please just don't think, oh, well, you know what, try it if you want, not being funny, just being realistic. We have to put that out there from time to time because some people are doing things that's just not cute for me, and I have to pull your coattail and let you know. And how you go with it, if you don't understand it and respect it, then I gotta cut you off.
You gotta keep it moving. Just know I peep stuff.
Yeah, we're watching.
I just ain't saying that.
We're watching.
Because I know if I say something, I go out the deep end. I don't think about the consequences after that. Because how I feel is how I feel, and you can take how you want. I really don't give a damn how you feel. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. So if you take offense, that's on you. But you should have been doing it anyway. Stop doing wrong to people. Do the right thing. Right. And then we will have to respond in the way we do, whether that's, you know, in a professional, cordial way or in a more of a open, assertive, and sometimes I might get aggressive because I mean it's just the principle things, you know. So
and that's with any business. Please, people, be authentic. As I say, have your own brand you. Stop trying to steal people's ideas and you know, it's good. You know, you can see other people, see how they are, but at the end of the day, create your own thing. It just feels better and it's just right. Just stop trying to take other people's ishk. Try not to curse so much, so I'm using different ways. So I did good. Ish. I did good tonight. I didn't do good tonight. I'm proud of myself. Up. It's okay. It's always tomorrow. It's human. Okay. I mean, it's always human. Next week, tomorrow, whatever.
I'm not a robot. I can't be human. I mean, I am human.
And I'm human as well.
But I'm not a robot.
I'm just disciplining myself. I know. But it's all good. Either way, my way or your way.
I know you being good. I was just saying.
Yeah, I want to it's just nature. I don't even have to be mad. But anywho, we're rambling. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Always remember to self-care. Take care of yourself from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. Be good to yourself. Love yourself. Respect yourself. Know your self-worth. And always know that you can say no. It's okay. It's okay. You can be selfish. It's good to be selfish. Take care of you. Start internally. That's where it starts at. It's not always on the outside. Nope. Everybody's just with this beautiful and blah, 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 blah. Nope. At the end of the day, if you're not good inside, the outside really doesn't matter.
And that reflects.
Exactly. So be good to yourself, people, and enjoy the rest.
Self-care is first.
Self-care. There you go. Self-care.
Please.
Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your evening, good people. Much love and respect.
Peace. Good night.